All right, we are finishing up here our talk about domestic violence in relationship to crisis, trauma, and loss. This section will be about counselor skill, behaviors, and relationships. So some skills from the counselor if you are a counselor or you know a counselor. So here are some skills that they should have. So safety planning, crisis intervention, and community resources. They want to be able to safety plan at any phase of the domestic violent phase because it goes back and forth so often, but you want to be able to empower that client in supporting themselves. The crisis intervention is saves lives because you're able to get that person out of there when they're unable to do it for themselves, mentally or physically. The knowing the community resources is not only going to help the person maintain safety, but also in supporting that person through the counseling process. So you may know some advocacy groups, support groups, as well as crime victims and criminal cases. So knowing what does the whole story look like for your clients. The most important consideration in therapeutic relationship is going to be understanding that the people are going to go back to the perpetrators, unfortunately, and it is a reality. So knowing that you're going to have empathy through and through, like I mentioned before, that is so important. So the counselor's own well-being, of course, is important, and you want to avoid vicarious trauma or at least attain to it when it is going on. So knowing that if you've seen it yourself, experienced it yourself in any way, or if you just are really concerned for your client and you see them going back to the perpetrator, it can be really hard to see and really difficult to live through. And understanding that one of your clients is going back to a very dangerous situation. So to avoid vicarious trauma, which is a secondary trauma, so this can be experienced by firefighters, teachers, counselors, anybody who's taking care of others who have their own traumatic events, it's taking on that trauma yourself. So as a counselor, you can also experience vicarious trauma through domestic violence. So to avoid this or take care of it as needed is to talk to your peers, your coworkers, and talk about your experiences of being hard for you to counsel in any time or specifically with specific clients. And especially with domestic violence specifically, you don't want to get this like savior mentality where it's like, I need to take you out of this, even though you have your own choices. It's never that way. You, as a counselor, will always inform the client that they are going to make their own decisions and they have autonomy to make their own decisions.